Fresh home from Stamford, Connecticut after doing Raw Talk. What else could we possibly do? It's late at night, but this is absolutely essential because, ladies and gentlemen, this is an absolute emergency. Welcome to a Notsam Wrestling emergency podcast because The Rock was on Monday Night Raw bloodying up Cody Rhodes in rare form. So let's get into this. I mean, it was an absolutely memorable, to say the least, episode of Monday Night Raw. I would say the best episode of Monday Night Raw in quite some time. I don't remember when the last episode of Monday Night Raw was that I liked as much as this one. Just every ounce of the show was absolutely packed. And we'll eventually talk about all that. If you think we need another emergency podcast just on the CM Punk segment, go ahead and say so. If you think we need another emergency podcast based on Drew McIntyre and Paul Heyman having a conversation, just say so. If you think we need another emergency podcast based on the Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio of it all, just say that. Whatever you think. Because there was a lot happening all over the place. But this one is about The Rock and Cody Rhodes. And I smelled an emergency podcast coming from the very first segment. And I honestly considered maybe we do, an emergency podcast, but ultimately it's mainly CM Punk and a little bit of that first segment until The Rock did what The Rock does, and that's take over the whole show. So Cody Rhodes comes out and he cuts an impassioned promo and he's talking about the promises that he's made, and he brings up the wrestling club, and he brings up being that guy's best man. He brings up all this stuff. But really, when he's talking about promises, he's talking about finishing the story. And just as he's about to close that impassioned Cody Rhodes promo, The Rock's music hits. And you're like, no way, because we know The Rock is back, but they have done such a good job of announcing every show that The Rock is at. But let's be honest, The Rock has been on the last 3 episodes of SmackDown, and you're like, well, all those shows have sold out, so clearly The Rock being back is a good thing. The last 11 television tapings have sold out. 15,800 people in the building at the Allstate Arena. So they said, you know what? Let's bring The Rock in. And The Rock's music hits, and he comes out, he's got a fresh vest on, just for Monday Night Raw, and he lets it sink in. And I didn't know if The Rock, when the music hit, I'm sitting in the green room in Stamford, Connecticut. I watch Raw in Stamford before we do Raw Talk live for Peacock, and I'm sitting there, and I was reacting in a room by myself in the moment, like a little kid at home watching in his bedroom when that music hit. But the reality is, I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're actually going to get The Rock. No. We may get some other version of it. Maybe it's a parody. Maybe this is the Attitude Era and a little person's going to come out dressed as... Who knows what's going to happen? But that wasn't what we got. Dwayne The Rock Johnson steps out front and center, and we see this guy in all his glory. And you could see he didn't have to slap the forearm and show us the goosebumps as you were watching those massive biceps, triceps, and shoulders walked by the camera, and you saw the goosebumps just lighting up that Herculean arm of the Brahma Bull. And he walks to the ring, taking his time, as that Hollywood Rock theme has taken over from the traditional "If you smell what The Rock is cooking." And The Rock gets in the ring. And Cody Rhodes doesn't know what to expect. He's ready for a fight, maybe. He's ready for a fight. And The Rock puts his arms out like this. No beef. No beef, Cody. No beef. He's not asking for a microphone, though, which is suspicious. Fishy, if you will. No beef. And then he takes his hands and he puts them behind that massive Rocky Maivia back of his. And he leans in. And he whispers something into the ear of Cody Rhodes. The last time we saw The Rock whispering into the ear of Cody Rhodes, it was when Cody was presumably volunteering his WrestleMania match, giving it up for The Rock. This harkens back to that moment for sure. But this is, I can't remember a time in recent history where The Rock would make an appearance like this. Just to walk to the ring, not touch a microphone, whisper in that man's ear, and then be done. Cody has a visible reaction to it, and Jackie Redmond is there to catch The Rock as he is leaving the gorilla position backstage on his way out. And this is key. This is the little details of storytelling that you have to take note of. When Jackie says, "Before you leave, I wanted to ask you." That way you don't have to have commentators being like, "Hey, by the way, Rock has left the building. Hey," and like some weird announcement. It's just an organic way to let the audience know that after that appearance, The Rock is leaving. He's not coming back, so don't get that idea. Wouldn't it be nuts if he did? If he appeared again, that's an impossibility. He's leaving. And The Rock says, "Why don't you go ask Cody Rhodes what The Rock told Cody Rhodes?" And he splits. He's out of here. He powders. About an hour goes by. The show is cooking. We got Ricochet and JD McDonough with Dominic getting thrown out. We got the big promo segment with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, which was its own adventure that we can talk about at some point. And it's going. And finally we get back to Cody Rhodes and Jackie Redmond. She goes, "Cody, what did The Rock whisper in your ear?" And Cody said, "Well, it's something I'd rather not repeat. I'm sorry to disappoint, but it's just not something I feel comfortable saying. That said, it was a promise that I don't think The Rock is going to be able to deliver on." And you go, okay. So you continue on with the rest of the show. You got your Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley segment. You got Andrade having his match with Giovanni Vinci. You have the whole Sami Zayn and Gunther saga going on, and Sami Zayn having his pep talk with Chad Gable, and then losing to Bronson, having another pep talk after that, and finally we get to Jey Uso versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Shout out to Rick Boogs. And they have their match, and their match starts to get interrupted. The Bloodline's already made their presence known. Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa pop up right in Jey Uso's promo. They don't have to come out of the crowd. We're telling you before this match begins that the Bloodline is here. The Bloodline shows up, and then the Bloodline Avengers show up. And we got this whole battle playing out now. We have Jimmy and Solo getting ready to interfere in the Jey Shinsuke match, but then we have Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes stopping the Bloodline from interfering. And while Seth is out there stopping the Bloodline from interfering, Drew McIntyre comes out and lays out Seth Rollins. I love that when you really break this down, what we've got is a WWE top of the card scenario that the Bloodline has ultimately created. The Bloodline having all of these matches where there's interference, the Bloodline having these numbers and using these numbers to control the entire top of the card in the WWE, has left them with no other option, has left the rest of the locker room with no other option but to band together. And over the years, the Bloodline has created enough powerful enemies that when they join together, due to the common enemy, now we've got this anarchy, we've got this chaos. And so there's enough bodies there to cancel each other out, and Jey Uso wins. Now, I'm sitting in the TV studio at this point, getting ready to go live on Peacock. I go, okay, Jey Uso wins. He's prepared for the Bloodline. I'm thinking about, okay, what can I comment on this? What can I comment on that? And I glance over, and the clock says 53 minutes after the hour. I go, 53 minutes? We got more to go on this show. And I see that the battle between Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso has continued on backstage. And who gets involved? Those big Samoan arms. The Rock starts pounding down on Cody Rhodes. And now this is a big moment. Because since The Rock came back as this version of The Rock, we saw The Rock get a little bit physical with Jinder Mahal in January on day one of this year. But realistically speaking, since this version of The Rock came back, the SmackDown after the Royal Rumble? We got this promo. We got basically the stare down between The Rock and Roman Reigns. We got the promo, the presentation of the Bloodline family tree, and the slap with Cody Rhodes. We got the Rock promo with Roman Reigns joining the Bloodline. We got the Rock coming out and acknowledging Roman Reigns. We got the Rock concert with the guitar and everything. What we haven't gotten is any physicality. And a week ago on Raw, Cody Rhodes uttered those words that will answer all questions in a real way and in a storytelling way in the WWE, which is at some point the bell's got to ring. And what's going to happen then? Well, what's going to happen when physicality is at play? And The Rock answered that by beating Cody into oblivion. And if you thought it was controversial that The Rock was allowed to use curse words on television, what if I told you there was going to be blood involved as well? He beats Cody Rhodes down. And the whole time The Rock is uttering, look at you now. Look at you now. Look at you now. He did the ultimate villain thing, which is he blamed Cody Rhodes for the situation that he was in. Cody, you took this away. You took our moment away, and now look what you've done. Look what you just did to yourself. I thought he was going to bring in the dumb dog again. And I don't mean the dog's dumb, but I'm talking about The Rock saying dumbass dog. I thought he was going to bring up the dog when he slammed Cody Rhodes into the side of that whiskey bus that has Pharaoh's face on it. But he's beaten him, and the camera pans back to Cody Rhodes, and after getting thrown into a bus, after getting thrown into a concrete wall, with, by the way, a truck next to the wall with a picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin and a picture of John Cena on it. Do I think that that truck being there is on purpose? I do not. I know everything counts, and it's all worth talking about. I do not think that that was planted. I do not think that that was a sign. I do not think that that was a signal. I think that that happens to be what that truck looks like. But we go back to Cody Rhodes. And after this beating that he's taken, The Rock's going to learn you. That's what The Rock was saying. The Rock's going to learn you. Cody's bloody. There's blood dripping down the face of Cody Rhodes. Old school, baby. And then The Rock says he made a promise to your mama. He talks about Cody's mama again, which you don't want this. He's talking about his mama. He lifts his shirt up, and there's a weight belt under it. But this is a different weight belt. This is a customized weight belt. This is a weight belt with a Brahma bull in the middle, and on either side of that bull, it says Mama Rhodes. And The Rock bends down, and he takes that big, meaty rock palm of his, and he wipes the blood off Cody's face, and he puts it onto that Mama Rhodes weight belt. And he tells Cody, this is the belt that I'm going to give your mama. The Rock got serious. It was not fun and games. It was not charisma. Again, The Rock has been the Pied Piper. The Rock is making you believe it's fun. We're having a good time. We're having a good time. But I thought he had done enough. I mean, what did The Rock do in that opening segment? When the music played, the All-State Arena in Rosemont, Illinois, went absolutely crazy for him. They blew that wooden roof off of that arena. But by the end of that segment, without The Rock saying a word, they were chanting, Rocky sucks, Rocky sucks, Rocky sucks. They were booing the bad guy. They were cheering the good guy. Everybody understood the assignment. Everyone did exactly what they should have done. But they didn't leave it there. You don't watch Raw going, man, what a fun show. And wasn't it fun to see The Rock? That was a surprise. No. You leave on a down note. You leave on The Rock looking like a terror. Because ultimately, when we think about people that have power, real power, like The Rock, that was what you kept hearing about The Rock everywhere that you went, that he was using his power. And this was not storyline conversations. This was us fans on the internet talking about it, that The Rock was using his power to influence these decisions that were being made and to influence his way into the main event of WrestleMania. So the question is, when somebody is this powerful, and this goes beyond wrestling now because The Rock is Hollywood. Hollywood Rock is showing up here with Hollywood power, with executive power, with board of directors power. And that's the guy who's showing up and here to get his way. When somebody with power doesn't get his way, what does it look like? What does a tantrum of a powerful person look like? It's one thing to just have conversation. Oh, well, he's executive on board of directors. He can make life really tough. And most of the time, the threat is enough. When you're dealing with a powerful person, most of the time, it's the threat that is all you need. You hear these stories. Well, I wasn't going to do it, but he has a lot of influence, so I figured I better do it. Well, I wasn't going to do it, but he can make my life very difficult, so I figured I was going to do it. Until there's one guy, one person who goes, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to get what's fair. I'm going to get what I deserve. And what happens when you do that to a truly powerful person? That powerful person rains hell down upon you. Because that power is what fuels that person. That will work in a positive way and a negative way, and that power will be what he uses with every fiber of his being to destroy you. And that's what we saw in that last segment. Those big muscles that The Rock has. Those big show muscles, right? No, not this Rock. What is it like when the final boss? Why is he the final boss? Because he used to be good? No. Because he will rain down hell upon you. And it's actually crucial to this character, to this version of The Rock, that he does make Cody bleed. That he does use these S words and F words. Because nobody's allowed to do that. And the fact that The Rock is doing it every time that he shows up, what that is telling you inherently is that The Rock is making the rules. Oh, they don't bleed. They're not allowed to bleed. Well, they bled in that segment. Why? Because The Rock makes the rules. Oh, it's TV PG. They're not allowed to curse. Well, they curse in the Rock segment. Why? Because The Rock makes the rules. And that's where that suspension of disbelief comes in. Because on a real level, you believe that. So then that sinks into this character, and you watch this story unfold, where this powerful man uses every fiber of his being to destroy and humiliate and physically annihilate Cody Rhodes. You believe it. Now here's my question. What does Roman Reigns do to prove that he is a bigger threat to Cody Rhodes than The Rock? Because I've never seen Cody Rhodes be put in that position in my life. What a segment. What a great time. If you want to hear us talking more about it, Megan Morant and I were on Peacock right after Raw, and it was a really fun opening to Raw Talk. Because on television, things are scripted, right? We know what we're going to talk about. Things are segmented out. We have graphics for them. You know, it's a whole operation. We're watching this thing. And 90 seconds before we go live on Peacock, producer in our ear goes, forget everything that's on that paper in front of you. Forget everything we talked about before the show. This is what we're talking about. The whole, scrap everything. That whole first segment, we're just going to talk about this. And then when it's time, Megan, you bring up the New Day. And that's how it started. And that's what it was. Because that's what a big deal this whole thing was. I appreciate you being here for another emergency podcast. What an era. What a road to WrestleMania. If you missed this week's podcast or you haven't watched or listened to all of it, make sure you check it out. Ooh, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we'll be back real soon. Like, subscribe, leave ratings, leave reviews, do the deal. See you in Philadelphia Wednesday, April 3rd, WrestleMania Wednesday, 8 p.m. at the Helium Comedy Club. Get tickets at notsam.com. We'll see you.